Hello everyone, welcome to the another video on Helm in practice with example. In today's video we will be looking into template functions, pipelines and list of template functions available for us to develop Helm charts. So far we have used built-in functions like release object or value object or chart object, and we have used those functions into our Helm templates, and we have transformed the values and used those values. And so far we have not modified the values, but we may have a requirement like we want to transform some of the values. For example, some values are coming as an integer or boolean and we want to double quote those values, or we may have to uppercase certain values. We want to convert the date from one date or object to the another objects, or we want to use the dictionary objects for key value pairs. Also, there are quite a lot of extensive list of functions available for us to use for developing our Helm chart, and we will be looking into those functions in this video. We may not be able to cover all the functions, but we will try to cover some important functions and some different technique to use those functions. And these are the functions that frequently used in creating Helm charts. I have created a simple demo chart, Helm demo functions, and created a simple string function in this one. So, and also in the values.yaml, I'm going to add some values from some other place. Let me copy this and here. Okay, so these are some of the values that I want to use for creating functions. So first thing we will cover is how to add the comments. So the way you can add comment is by adding a flower bracket, and inside that one you can use the star slash, and between these anything that is been written is considered as a command. So now if I am trying to execute, it will be considered as a command. So ham install, then name Helm function, Helm demo functions, and dry run. So here the commands are not appearing. Okay, so this is how we can use the command. Now another function that I want to use it, for example, I am fetching some value. Let's say I am fetching a port, service internal port. So internal port. So use from the value object I can fetch values dot service dot internal port, and I want to double quote it. So I can either do like this, or I can put the function name in the at the start as well. So there are two different way we can use this value. So this is the value 1 and this is value 2. So now if I run this, then quote value internal ports, service S is capital. So now see, it is using the double quotes. So it is more powerful to use a pipe function than this way, because here with the pipe function I should be able to add more function as well. For example, I want to, let's say some values are value like my chart pod name, right? So if I want to add a one more value here, pod name, so here my chart and a pod name, right? So here if I want to double quote that, and then after I want to use uppercase, so I can use like this, and this is the my chart value is been passed to double quote functions, and once it is been double quoted, it is passed to the uppercase. So then after it converts the value into the uppercase. So the pipe functions are more powerful, and I prefer using this function than the function using like in the beginning. There is another function called the default. So default value, and let's say I create one use default. So here if I don't pass any value here, then it will use a default value. For example, let's say values dot my chart and default some default value. So if there is no value available in this key value pair, then it will be used the default value. So if I run it now, see it is using the some default value, but if I use some value here in this particular key value pair, then it will use that default value, my value, right? So this is how we can use the default function. There are extensive list of functions that Helm supports. So if you go to the helm.sh and inside the chart template function list, you will be able to find quite a lot of functions available, like cryptographic security functions. So you can convert the value into SHA-SUM or SHA-256 sum, or there are functions available like date functions. So you can get converting date into some specific format, or getting the date into the specific time zone, or some more functions. Then there are many encoding functions, dictionary object also you can create. So you can create the key value pair like key and values, then you can get the value for a specific key, then you can set the value for specific key, then you can unset, you can check if the keys is available. Then there are some functions, there are quite a lot of string functions also available. So there are functions like contains, then quotes, then printf, then uppercase, then truncate, then trim all. So you can use these functions for your charts. Then there are functions available for mathematics, then you can also create the UUID again. There are functions for the URLs again, so you can have the parse the URL functions available and get you some all the details about the URLs. And then URL joining, different parts you join and creates the URL. So quite extensive list of functions are available for creating our charts. I would encourage you to go through these functions and try to check it, what are the functions available and that can be used. Helm is using a unique way for managing the spacing. So let me do one thing. I'll create one more file. So I'll rename these to config map spacing, config map functions spacing, and I will paste some code. I'll paste some code here. So here there is a normal string, looks like this, right? Then if I want to trim all the spaces on the left side, I can use inside the flower bracket, I can use the dash like this. So in this case, all the spaces on the left side will be trimmed, and whatever the name that comes into the release name will be joining right here. Then if I want to right trim this, so here any space is coming on the right side, that will be trimmed with a dash on the right side inside the flower bracket. If I want to trim it on the both side, then I can use the dash on the both side inside the flower bracket. So let me run this and let us try to check. So here my function spacing is okay. So this is my function spacing, right? This is my config map. So if you look at it, the normal string, it looks like this. So there is whatever the spacing that I have provided on the left and right side is available here. Now here my function name is Helm Functions. So I have trimmed all the spaces from the left side with the help of this dash. So here the word left is here, and all the spaces here will be trimmed, and you can see right here, and on the right side no space is getting trimmed, right? Similar to this one, I have trimmed the values on the right side with the help of dash on the right side inside the flower bracket, and similar to I have added a dashes on the both side. So right and left side, whatever the spaces are there, and got trimmed. So here everything is together now. So this is how we can use a trim function with the help of the dash. There is another function called the indent. So I'll create one more config map. I'll rename that to indent, and again I'll give the name as indent. I'll paste some code here. Okay, so here I will paste some code here. So here look at this. Here I have some value on the right side, and then I put values here from the values.yaml, and then I am indenting how many spacing? 2. When I write 2, it will indent 2 spaces after indent 2. When I write 4 here, it will add 4 space after the indent. So let me try to run this. So here, so this is my indent function. Here the values is coming from values.yaml, and then I said okay, pass it to the indent function with a indent spacing 2. So here it has added 2 spaces, and for indent 4 I said that okay, pass indent of 4 spaces. So here the 4 spaces got added here. So this is how we can use indent function. Similar to the indent function, there is a function called an indent. So here before indent, when you add an, it will take it as a new line. So here when I write like this, and if I try to run it here, if you look at this, an indent, and then it has created a new line, and then it has added a indent of 4. So if you check it here, there are 4 spaces got added, and this is how we can use the and indent function. This is all I wanted to cover about Helm template functions. So again, I encourage you to go through all these functions available for us to use for creating or enhancing our chart, and these are very useful functions. So I hope you like the video, and thank you for watching this video.